there. So I'm going to discuss my position on some of the things that was very revealing in the newest documentary about the Casey Anthony situation. Casey Anthony's parents, the lie detector test was just released. Forget the polygraph. I want to go over the things that their parents said, the inconsistencies, and the outright lies that they told in the documentary, the way that they spun what they were saying. Oh my goodness, let's get into it. And first of all, let's start with this text message. I want to start with that first and foremost. This is a text message that Cindy shares, and the uh, timestamp is at 41:32, about right in there. If you're watching it, whatever platform that you're watching it on. The newest documentary that Casey Anthony did in 2022, her docuseries, she talked about her accusations against her father for the first time publicly. But these were accusations that were stated way, excuse me, way before the trial. Not only was George Anthony accused of raping her, and her fear of getting to her daughter, that was something that she shared with experts who testified of her psychological conditions, that she was not malingering. Okay, they can tell when somebody's malingering or whatever. She had psychological issues. So I want to discuss what happened in the labor room when Casey gave birth to Kaylee. This is not something you're going to hear about in the media because they have their way to spin something to keep a subject hot and on the press and keeping the viewers' attentions because they make money. These sitcoms, the ads, the websites and the ads on the websites, all this is for money. Okay, so when you have some journalist who's claiming this is first time ever, first time ever, first time ever, first time ever, and they push that, that is going to be keeping an infamous case hot on the trail and the fingers of people clicking on things online so they can get the most view and the most money possible off of a story. And so when they're presenting things with a spin that it's the first time ever, and that's bold-faced lying, it just destroys the credibility that is so important in this case. But this is a text message that Casey, when she came out and she was talking about for the first time publicly outside the courtroom, this is a text from 2021. She had a private conversation with Cindy, her mother. She, as far as I remember, did not discuss that with anyone publicly. She confronted her mother and accused her of choosing her husband over her mother, over her daughter, and Kaylee. So she's directly confronted Cindy about accusing her father, and she's done that since before the trial. They were warned. They had to do a DNA test to determine whether or not that baby was George's daughter. And let's talk about what happened a couple days before that DNA test was come out. That is when he tried to commit suicide, and they don't tell anybody in this documentary. They talk about things that are kind of hot topics, like, oh, she said this and she said this. Why did you say this weird thing at the funeral that freaked so many people out? Talk about the smell, the sweat of his granddaughter or whatever. It was kind of a weird comment. A lot of people talked about. They never once discussed in this documentary the text message he said. They showed the letter publicly in the media that when he tried to commit suicide, but they never shared the text message that he sent to his daughter apologizing to her, saying, I'm sorry, Casey, I love you, please forgive me. Why are you apologizing to your daughter that just accused you of raping her? Excuse me? And did you know that the attorney who knows what is required to prove libel, he's going to write a book and say there's photographs. Now, if there weren't photographs, they could easily sue him for lots and lots of money because he had a lot of it. So he talks about photographs of the father, George Anthony, being in the delivery room while Casey's giving birth to Kaylee on the receiving end as she's being born. What father stands there on the receiving end of his daughter giving birth? I could see like a mother or a parent being in the delivery room with the child giving birth or something if the father's not there. You know what I mean? But you're going to be on the receiving end while the baby's being born? I mean, that's what it said the photograph shows. And they could easily prove that that wasn't true if they're saying there was photographs of that. But the timing of his suicide letter and the text message apologizing to a daughter that just accused him of rape 2 days before the DNA test was coming out to prove whether or not that was his baby, because apparently she said she had sex with her father during the time she got pregnant, and then she was molested by him up to the age of 12. So she's mad at her mother, okay, because she won't give her the ashes of her baby. I'm like, if she's acquitted of being the murder of her baby. And honestly, if they had given an option for involuntary manslaughter or manslaughter for the accidental drowning and covering up the death, if they had chose to allow the jury to charge her with covering up a death and, accidental drowning, manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, I think she would have been convicted. But it was first degree or nothing. And, regardless of what people think with all the stuff, obviously she tells lies. That's a given. Yeah, she had problems with lying, but her claim to be a victim of abuse is believed by a lot of people. And I personally am not going to accuse her of making that up, because I don't know. It is typical for somebody who's been a sexual abuse victim to have problems with lying. I mean, they cover it up. I mean, I think what she did, I will never excuse her for acting like her daughter didn't die. I don't care how messed up you are. But anyways, I'm just saying, I don't know that this man did that. And I don't know that Casey's lying. That's between them and God. But what I want to talk about is the things that Cindy and George said that are very problematic in this documentary. So she won't share the ashes with her daughter, and she accuses her of, I think she's just angry because she's accusing her husband of being a rapist. But it's important to note this date right here, October 23rd, 2021. And the reason that's important is because this confrontation of Casey accusing her and then her saying that her husband George never touched her or Kaylee, what they say in this documentary is so contradictory to this text message right here. So back in 2021, here's Cindy's response. Your father didn't touch you or Kaylee. Okay, so let's talk about the fact that accusation has been going on, that she was afraid that her granddaughter was going to be messed with. Okay, that came out like way before the trial, even, that her father was a rapist. So why are they saying in this documentary, not once, not twice, not many times in this documentary, they keep presenting this as like, oh, it's a new story. This is a bombshell. She's come out with new stuff. Like, here's Casey going again, all over again, making up new stuff. Oh, yeah, we don't know where this is coming from. That is a deliberate, calculated lie, which is designed for people to think that Casey is telling new lies. For them to sit there and act like they don't have any clue where this is coming from, this is the first they've heard of it, and they say it over and over, right, is so deceptive. The journalist asked both of these parents, is this the first time you've heard this suggestion and talking about, him possibly being capable of molesting the granddaughter? Both of them say, yes, this is the first time ever. She was afraid that could happen. That's nothing new. They're acting like this is just some new allegation. No, it's not. So here's Cindy, and I'm not using the volume because I don't want to get copyright. Did George molest Casey? And she's acting like, well, we're like, what? Where is this coming from? Like, what? This is why they're saying why they're doing this documentary and doing this polygraph, as if it's going to prove anything, because this is coming out for the first time. Oh my goodness. Over and over in this documentary, they say how this is new. This is new allegation. They've never heard these allegations. They ask them repeatedly, Have you heard these allegations before? No, this is new. And then they literally watch her say what she says. Now, they may have not seen her in TV saying it before, but this is not new. It's been in books, it has been in the trial. They were interviewed by her attorneys saying what the accusations were, and he sent a text message to his daughter 2 days before he wrote his suicide note. I'm sorry, tell Casey I love her. After she accuses him of rape, he apologizes to her. You can never take that text message back, but they do not discuss that text message in this documentary. And then there's this former FBI guy who's getting paid to do tests, and then he's acting like a polygraph is proof of innocence or guilt. And the fact that a law enforcement officer or a former law enforcement officer and her former cop dad is going to act like polygraph proves anything is just so deceptive to the general public. Let me break it down to you. Are polygraph lie detectors results admissible in court? No, and why not? Because they're not reliable. Did you know that people lying can pass them and people telling the truth can flunk them? Did you know that? Which is why they will never be used in court of law. Not only are they not allowed to be used in a court of law, you can't even reference them in a court of law because they're not reliable. And honestly, they should not even be used for investigations because of the great variable, and they just lie and act like they're 89%, 60 to 90% accurate. That's still a big variable, okay? And you cannot just... Anyways, here let's talk about how he did when the questions were being asked. This is where big problems arise. Now, granted, this is subjective. This may not actually be accurate, but there are certain tells when somebody is lying, and hard swallowing is one of them. When they specifically ask him multiple times on whether or not he had sexual contact or specific questions about abuse, he swallows. Each and every time he says no. And several times he did that. But it wasn't just that. When you watch him answer the questions, notice the 2 to 3 second delay before he answers. Almost as like he's trying to control his body before he says the word. And then the tester has to tell him multiple times, stop moving your feet. Then there was the stumbling over, did he conceal the death? And that he could not even answer. The tester was like, what's the problem here? And even Cindy got upset. She was like, why is he not saying yes or no? It's a yes or no answer. And yet they still said he passed. When he can't answer yes or no, and this tester was just like trying to give him chance after chance, but here's my problem with the former FBI agent. I do not believe that any former FBI agent should be doing this test. And here's my reason why. I personally have recorded conversations with FBI agents, and if you see my channel and my documenting my experience with my stalker, I have caught police in lies. I have documented for going on 2 years now this journey of police being caught in lies over and over and over. And they lied to me, saying they were sending evidence of crimes against me to the prosecutor and DA. And then, of course, they weren't. An FBI agent gets involved and he says, yes, they lied. They lied in federal court and said that they had sent things to the prosecutor and they hadn't. This FBI agent acknowledges that these cops lied, suppressed evidence, committed perjury in federal court, and refused to prosecute them. FBI people, they're crooked. They always protect cops more often than not. I will not even believe a polygraph because of the former FBI agent giving the test, and because this guy's a cop and I'm a former cop. And so it's that and the unreliability. Even if Casey took a polygraph, I'm not going to believe the results either way, because there's so much media and money and politics caught up in this case. I will believe more like a tool that can be used in court, such as handwriting analysis. And so far, what I have seen on his handwriting, I have seen flags of deception in his writing. And I think a professional certified handwriting analysis expert should review the documents written in this case and give their professional opinion that has no connections to any documentaries or stories or making money off of their opinions. That's something that would be persuadable to me. And I'm not saying that this man has done what has been accused. And I'm not saying, I don't believe that Cindy believes that he did this and is just trying to protect him. But I do have a problem with her saying in the documentary that, and you know what she says at one point where, I'd castrate him myself if I thought he did such a thing. Okay, but that was like where she's thinking about what she's going to say. But there was a moment where she got upset with the person who was doing the camera work. And then she slipped out and said something while she was annoyed. And she said, if he blows this, he could go to jail. And she's talking about how it could change their life. I'm like, I'm sorry. You're worried about if he blows this, he could go to jail. What about your daughter being a victim? I mean, it was something that she said in a moment, a heated moment that was more close to heart. So, but I don't believe that she believes he did this. Okay. I think if she had walked in the room, if it happened and he was doing something to her daughter, I think she would have killed the man or done something really bad to him, because I think she's like a hot-headed woman, and I don't think she would just, but I think if her daughter is a victim and that really happened, I think that it's not unlogical for her to believe that her mother knew about it. But in that text message, she's accusing her mother of knowing about the abuse. But this right here is disturbing. When the baby was born, photographs showed him in the delivery room on the receiving end as the baby was coming out. And the results of the DNA test due to come out, that's when he tried to commit suicide. That's when. And he texted her that he was sorry and tell her that he loves her. This is a daughter who accused him of raping her. Why is he apologizing to her before he kills himself? And all this media spinning about, oh, he's innocent now, and he could sue her. They are just spinning a story for money. That's really all they care about. And this is not justice to that little baby who died. Okay? Now, keep in mind, this is a book written by a lawyer who knows darn well if there wasn't no photographs proving that he was on the receiving end as that baby's coming out, to say these things and these text messages that was never discussed in the media. Okay, how come in this documentary that text message wasn't discussed? Why wasn't it discussed? Why are they withholding that? Why are they doing that? Okay, because that text message matters. It matters. They talk about other things that are easy for him to make excuses for, but they sure didn't bring up that text message right before he tried to kill himself. He's apologizing to his daughter who accusing him of rape 2 days before the DNA test to determine whether or not the granddaughter was a child of him. So I just have a problem with how this documentary was done, and the fact that all throughout this documentary they're talking about hearing about these allegations for the first time. And I'm sorry, they know that is straight up lying. They know that's untruthful, and they know that effect that it will have on Casey Anthony by acting like these are new allegations. They're hearing about it the first time. It helps this media company putting this together to make it a fresh, new evidence, new stuff, blah, blah, blah. This right here is going to explain to you why they're trying to present, one of the reasons why they're trying to present this is if it's all new. There may be just a handful of cases that will always have a public's attention. This is journalist words. And if there's new develops in any way, shape, or form, people will be interested. And that's it right there. If there are any new developments in the story, in any way, shape, or form, people will be interested. And that is what they need to make money off a documentary or a story. So he sells this as new information. Is this the first time you heard this suggestion? No, people. This is old news, and they're just trying to have him, because when this docuseries came out and when she reacted to the things he said at the funeral, and some of her statements in the documentary were pretty convincing. I thought she must be a complete psychopath, or she just is really deluded herself, or she is innocent. She's telling the truth, and she's really a victim, and she's just like her. They were very convincing, and like some of the things she said, I thought, I don't know about that, but I don't think I can ever believe her. And it's not because I disbelieve her. It's just because there is such a problem with her lying in the past. And, I don't know. I don't disbelieve her as far as allegations of abuse. I just have a problem completely believing her because of the things that she did. But I know one thing's for certain. I'm not convinced this man is a rapist, but I will not trust her or him, even though I feel bad for them. I don't trust them because they came onto this documentary and they lied. They lied to me, they lied to the world, and try to present like all this stuff is being heard for the first time. And I don't know if maybe they presented it wrong, but I'm just like, no, you're not going to sit here and act like this is new news. You're not going to sit here and act like you don't know where this is coming from. And I'm sorry, you got text messages from 2021. And I'm sorry, you know about the book with the photographs of him being on the receiving end. And you know about the text message to your daughter where he apologized to her and said he loved her after she accused him of rape before he left this world or when he was trying to kill himself. I'm like, she's sitting here acting like they've never heard these allegations before. And it is such a lie. I'm sorry, they just sat here. Forget the polygraph. Let's talk about the other things they lied about in this documentary. And why? Why are they lying? Maybe it's just defense. Maybe it doesn't mean that they're guilty. Maybe it just means that they're, just trying to defend their life, against people who are hating on them and threatening them. And you know what I mean? But it doesn't make me trust them. I know that much. And I think that she should not have just dismissed her daughter's accusation. I think it's wrong that in that confrontation that she just dismissed her daughter. I think it was hateful that she sent the dead pictures of her daughter to her because she accused her of siding with her husband, not even considering that there's any truth to it. I'm just like, and not even willing to share the ashes. I think that Casey should sue her mother for the remains of her daughter because she has a right to the remains of her daughter because she's not convicted of even of abuse of her daughter. Only thing she was convicted of was lying to law enforcement, which she did. She should have every right to have those remains. And it's just disgusting that Cindy won't even share the remains with her. I know a lot of people think, well, she doesn't deserve the remains because she's guilty, blah, 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 blah. The only reason Cindy's not giving it to her is because of her anger. Because she's accusing her husband of rape. And, I think she should share the remains at the very least. But anyways, that's my spill on this one. And, you're more than welcome to the feedback. All comments are held for review, so please don't curse or anything like that. Don't call names. I do have a filter on, so please be civil. I just want a conversation about this documentary, how it's presented, and the fact that anybody trying to present a polygraph as if it's going to exonerate anybody is just ridiculous. I would be more convinced of somebody's innocence through handwriting analysis, or there's other tests that could actually be used in a court of law. The polygraph, and given by a former FBI agent, which I do not trust because FBI agents have proven to me that they're about protecting cops. And you should see the documentaries that I have, the videos where I've documented conversations with FBI agents literally acknowledging that cops have committed crimes of suppression of evidence and perjury in federal court and chose not to prosecute them. When you have cops lying in reports and suppressing evidence of crimes, and you're just going to act like that's not nothing to remove them from power, you're a thug with power, and I don't trust you. And FBI has a long history of abuse of many things. They're not trustworthy. This documentary is garbage to me. I'm sorry. I think that they made a wrong decision, these parents did, in allowing this documentary to be made, and all they did show me was that they lie.